Hello, and welcome to the You Blew It Rangers weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 4th of May. It's Gary here again, and yeah, you know what? It's a heavy week. I think, you know what? Let's start on a positive. Happy Star Wars Day for anyone that is into that. May the 4th be with you and all that sort of thing. And I think that's probably about the only positive thing that's going to really happen today, other than when we get to Destination NARSA a little bit later on. There's nothing better than thinking about a party just after you've blew the season completely to smithereens, is there? So yeah, one of these things, you know, we get ourselves into. It's very reminiscent to me of when Philippe Clement came in. And we had high hopes. We had that early bounce, and it lasted for quite a wee while, actually. And it got us up to, what would that be, like a couple of years ago, maybe like a month ago, roughly. It was about April time, wasn't it? And then the wheels came off up at, I think it started with Ross County, and then it just got gradually worse from there. And then we just completely regressed. And we've got ourselves into a situation where 9 cup finals, remember that? 9 cup finals, and we navigated 4 of them. And then as soon as the split happened and we play the supposed better teams, we come a cropper in both of the games. And I think that's really, truly where this squad and where this management team are at. And there's a lot of worrying signs in there for both of those groups. And it's something that's going to have to take some real, what would you say, surgery to get it fixed, and to get us to a point where we're going into these games with a wee bit of predictability and a wee bit of confidence about what we're actually going to see. I was chatting with my nephew yesterday, and I'd said I just would not literally be surprised if we went there and got scalped. And I equally wouldn't be surprised if it was a snore draw. And I equally wouldn't be surprised if we go there and put on the afterburners and give Hearts a doing. That's not healthy from a team perspective in terms of that volatility, in terms of our performances. And it's just not good enough. And I think really and truly the only reason that we put ourselves into this position is because how bad that mob have been from the east end of the city. And you've had a magnificently consistent Hearts, are magnificently consistent. That's probably the best language to use. And they have recovered from setbacks when the setbacks came their way, and they've kept plugging along, and they've won the games that they should have won, and they haven't faltered yet. So I did say a week or 2 or 3 ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, I really literally don't care about who wins the league if it's not going to be us. And while I still maintain it, that's pretty much the case. If it wasn't that mob from the East End, I would be kind of cool with that as well. And McInnes being an ex-Rangers man as well, albeit not super friendly to our club since he left. You know, maybe we go to Sharkhead this weekend and put the final nail in their coffin and let Hearts bask in the glory of what seemed like an improbable title victory. You know, when you look at their squad and our squad, you know, how many players truly would you take from their squad? But what they have is what Motherwell have, is they have that cohesiveness, and they have everybody playing to their strengths, and they have everybody really fighting for each other, rowing in the same direction and putting themselves on the line. And before I went to the game today, or actually on my way down to the game today, I had a thought, which I thought might have been a theme for today's conversation with you, was how many people in the Rangers squad today would do absolutely everything that's necessary to win a game of football, put their body on the line, really go take one for the team if it's required, and do something extraordinary that's over and above their day job, if you like, their regular position or role in the team, to really give us that opportunity to win a game. I don't know that there's anyone in there. You know, when we're really on a high, you get players that are really excelling and doing some exceptional things. But when we're not on a high, then we're in a difficult situation where we don't have that. And this is not a tav bashing. I was trying to get quick in my wording there, but it's not a tav bashing session whatsoever. But we don't have that captain that can really, take the game by the scruff of the neck. We don't have that midfield dynamo that could pick out that killer pass, and we were a wee bit light up front, and that's kind of like the story of the season. So I'm very, very sorry that we have to kind of talk about that today. I'm going to get through the game segment as quickly as I can, get through the rest of the content as quickly as I can. It will be a wee bit more upbeat next week, I promise, but I'm just not feeling the vibes today, I'm afraid. And I really, today, right now, literally at this second, right now, it's 3:27 p.m. my time, and I have a real affinity now for the folks on the other podcasts that have to come out and do this straight after a game every single week. I don't like it. I don't. I would much rather have that day at least, or maybe a couple of days to convalesce and gather my thoughts and put a positive spin on it. It's kind of difficult to do that in the immediate aftermath, I have to say. So yeah, that's just the way that it unfolded for us. So yeah, the game, obviously the 2-1 defeat at Hearts, and genuinely, I mean, how many times have I said this recently as well? A game of two halves, and the first half was kind of like a canter. There wasn't a whole hell of a lot happening in the first half, and then we get the goal from a wee bit of fortune. The Hearts obviously enjoyed a wee bit of fortune for their winning goal as well, and we do John Sterling gets us that 1-goal lead, and I think we were very worthy of that. A bit of a subdued start, but from both teams, but Rangers really grew into the game, doing a lot of passing. It wasn't all working, but you could see what they were trying, and were really dominating. The Hearts looked very, very, very pensive there, and it was one of these things. Do you know what it was for me? And this is with the benefit of hindsight, maybe not so much in the moment. It was like we didn't really know what to do. I think we have a real propensity with this particular club that we support right now, because it's been the same for a very long time. It's not just this existing squad, is to wait and see what the opposition do before we decide what we're going to do. And when we do that, then a lot of times that's when we end up chasing games and what's happened. And, our goal shipping ratio, what was it? 8 goals in 3 games last week. So that's 10 goals in 4 games. I mean, that's 2.5 goals per game. That's nowhere near championship winning form. So we just don't deserve anything to do with being near the top of the table. And as it turns out, we're not anywhere near the top of the table now. So that's just a thing. But overall, I mean, it was a really, really solid first half. It was entertaining. It was enjoyable. You could see what they were doing. And there's going to be a reaction. And this is the thing that I just don't get. I mentioned this last week in the Motherwell game. Like, if something has to be changed, we don't have to wait until the end of the half, and I'm not saying there was anything that needed to be changed in the first half, but what my lament was last week was, how can we not change things in game? How can, when there's a break in play, there's a throw in, there's a water break, there's an injury or something like that, like, why is Danny not calling his team over and saying, stop doing this, start doing that, I'm going to bring this guy on? There's minimal communication when one of the new players comes on to say, this is what I'm going to be doing, this is what it looks like. So I just don't understand. I don't think the game's that technical that you just have to, we've set our stall out and we have to just kind of stick with that. There's going to be, some riffing that has to happen as the game goes, to say, right, okay, these guys brought that guy on. We're not 100% sure what role he's playing. Within a few minutes, right, okay, that's what he's doing. We need to do this to combat that. And again, like I said last week, I'm not a technical guy, but you just can see that certain things are working, certain things aren't. But what was not working in the second half was our inventiveness, our endeavour, our energy levels, our fight, our caring. It looked like a lot of times, we're just kind of, this is my job, this is what I'm going to do. There was no one really taking the game by the scruff of the neck, and it was a rotten second half, quite frankly. Danny Rule said on his post-match press conference it was good for 50 minutes. I don't think any of the second half was good. So maybe he's talking about the 46 minutes that we played of the first half, because I didn't see much good in the second half at all. For whatever reason, we ended up gifting them so much space on our left-hand side of defence. Like when their first goal came, it was from a whole hell of a lot of space on their side, and on their right-hand side or left-hand side. And the ball comes out, hits the post. Scott Olsen is doing what he does, is just kind of standing around doing a whole bunch of nothing. And Tava's there as well, and their guy reacts and slots the ball home. And then you could see that you could see what was going to happen after that. They've got the tail between their legs. Not a lot of quality from them, by the way. Not as if they were peppering our goals right, left and centre, but there's a lot of hustle, a lot of hassle, a lot of really putting us under pressure. And then they get a whole bunch of space on our right-hand side of defence. Tav doesn't close the cross down quick enough. It did look like it was going out in the beginning, but it stayed in. Big deflection. It just couldn't have fallen any more perfectly for Shanklin to put it in. Good finish. And I thought initially that the Butland was slow and he could maybe have got it, but seeing it on replay, there's no chance. It was two Rangers players in there as well, and it was very, very well struck. Just one of those things, and honestly, no more than we deserved at that particular time. Asgard hit the bar a little bit later on, and that was basically it. We weren't creating a lot of chances, and then all of a sudden, I mean, I've really felt bad. There was a lot of cramp happening for the Hearts players, and sometimes the ball, when they were trying to take a throw in, wasn't the right ball for them to be able to take that throw in, and they had to go get another ball and stuff like that. That must be really infuriating for them. It's a shame that has to happen. The time wasting from these arseholes in these games is infuriating. Is it part of the game? Maybe it is. Do we do it? A little bit, as in Butland would maybe grab the ball and go down and then get up and kind of take his time. But this cramp stuff and all that, that's not part of the game, man. Like, I think it's pathetic. I really do. And you could see it from like 60 minutes into the game is when it started. Just absolute garbage. And you could just tell the team had decided, I mean, when was the last time we played a full 90 minutes? Or 70 minutes, or 80, or 60 even, of good, well, maybe 60, maybe had a couple of 60s. But other than that, like, the game is two halves, and it seemed like the team had just collectively said, well, our good half was in the first half, so we're not going to have a good half now, and that's just the way that it's going. And that resignation is just, pathetic, I think is the word that comes back to mind. So in terms of the positives, I think the first half was good. Yeah, no more than good. It wasn't great. It wasn't absolutely inspirational. It wasn't, we should have blown them away, and I can't believe that we gave them a sniff or anything like that. It wasn't a lot of shots on goal, but there was a lot of passion and purpose and endeavour and inventiveness, and you could see that there was a bit of a plan there, and then it just fell apart. As soon as somebody changes something on the other side, it's like Danny and his team are kind of blinking and going, oh, I never expected that, and then we'll just stand here and see what happens. I don't know. So first half was good, but we kind of just didn't really look like we knew what we were going to do with it. I guess from another positive perspective, I think there's a strong possibility the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary have shown their last game at Pinbar for this season, because we'll do a poll for the mob from Sharkhead for this Sunday. I mean, I'll obviously definitely be watching the game, but if I don't have to go down at 4:45 a.m. to open up and stand there with 4 people, then I'm okay with that. So we're going to do a poll. If you're a member of the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary, please respond to Debbie and let us know if you're going to go, and if we get 10 people saying they're going and see the game, but we don't need to worry. My kind of fear was, it's still mathematically possible, and yes, I know that it is, but it's not. So we're going to just have to move on from there. One positive that we did have at the club today was we did have ex-Ranger Fraser there with his mum Sandra as well. So that was great to see them in person, and I took some homemade muffins and cookies as well. So, and they were nice. I enjoyed both of them, and whoever had sampled them enjoyed them as well. So I think it's not all lost in that respect. The muffins were a wee bit stuck to the bottom of the pan, and so I brought them down, and I kept the good ones here, obviously. But other than that, no more positives to really talk about. In terms of the negatives, the second half was basically what we've come to expect. Really, after a positive first half, you're just kind of waiting, aren't you, on that second half kind of coming. In terms of the possession, 58% possession for Rangers. Do you know what? I was kind of surprised when I saw that, and then I was like, actually, you know what? I'm kind of not, because the amount of times that we got the ball at the back and we would just stand and wait on something. Like, I don't know what Fernandez is doing all the time that he does that, and then Butland was doing it a wee bit, and then we're having all these multiple passes, and the Hearts were like, keep doing that if you want, boys. We'll just wait our turn, because we know we're going to get a turn here, because you guys can't sustain this. And that's the message. If I'm McInnes, that's the message, or any other manager playing Rangers, is if they come out and have a brilliant first half, don't worry, they're going to blow themselves out, and they're not going to have a good second half, because they're going to be a wee bit dishevelled as to why they're not actually leading by more. And so just wait for your opportunity. Keep it tight. Don't lose any goals. That's what I would do. That's what you can see happening and such. It says we had 8 shots on goal with 3 on target. Scored 1 of them, so 33%. And Hearts had 10 shots on goal with 5 on target. Scored 2, so 20% for them. Again, we don't have that eye of the tiger, that ruthless streak to get the chances and actually take the chances, and everybody knows it, ourselves included. In terms of the referee watch, I was really looking forward to saying that I thought John Beaton had a good game, and the only massive faux pas that he had was booking Manny Fernandez in the second half. And the reason it's a massive faux pas was, one, it wasn't a foul; two, it certainly wasn't a yellow card; and three, he couldn't have been better positioned to see it if he tried. He was literally right in front of it. What he saw, I've no idea. Is it the screaming of the player? We don't get to hear that from 4,000 miles away here, and I'm sure you probably don't get to hear it even at the stadium because of the fan noise and such. But what he thought he saw there, that could be material for him getting a ban or something like that at some point. And it's not just a throwaway yellow card, and it's just one of these things. That was a pathetic, ridiculous decision by Beaton, and that just goes to prove. I mean, I think there was only 3 yellow cards in the game, 1 for Hearts, 2 for us. And that one should never, ever, ever have been a free kick, and never mind a yellow card. So he's going to get 5 out of 10 for that. Other than that, I thought he managed the game well. He didn't fall for any of their, if there was a 50-50 ball, he was just like 50-50 ball. Like, you guys keep going. And then the more that the players started to see that, right, he's not going to call everything, the more the game flowed a wee bit, a la the first half, not so much when gate and all that sort of stuff crept in there in the last half hour or so. I guess you need to play with the strengths you've got, and feigning injury is, if that's a key strength of your team, then good for you. And that's that. So yeah, we're now, what's that, 7 points behind Hearts, 4 points behind that mob. The league title championship race is done for us now. It's a 2-horse race. What do we want to happen? Do we go to Sharkhead on Sunday and put them out of the race, and hopefully Hearts don't slip up against Motherwell? Ideally, yes, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like. But yeah, the next game is Sunday, and it's 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, and we're away to that mob. But I say we go and do what we can for Hearts, and at least take a point there and see what that looks like. Then our next again game is a week on Wednesday, and that's at home to Hibs, or should I say the team that don't seem to want to be able to keep 10 men on the field whenever they're playing the 2 key front runners for the championship. Blew it both times, I mean, that's the sort of things that happen. So I'm looking forward to them just showing up with 10 against us as well. And then we finish the season with a kind of waste of time game, actually, away to Falkirk at the end of the season. I don't know what we get gained, or what's gained from the last 3 games now, other than maybe scuppering them, but who cares about them, really? I kind of don't anymore. So it's looking odds on. I mean, we've still got second place to go for as well, obviously, and that would be material for us. But we're in the Conference League spot for right now, and that's tough to take, because I look at that, and it's a major European trophy. I know it is. It's one of 3. I understand that completely. I look at the majority of the teams. It's a wee bit different now when you get towards the end of the season, and you can see the better teams bubbling to the top. Some of these teams in the group phase, I'm like, that's just a bunch of consonants and vowels put together. I've never heard of that. I couldn't even guess what country they're from. It's a wee bit of snobbery from my perspective. I know I want to be in the Champions League. If we can't be in the Champions League, we want to be in the Europa League, and we're now going to be most likely in the Conference League. Going to get behind the team, of course. Hopefully going to have a good run, earn some money, get us a wee bit excited and such, but that's not the European competition I want to be in. And I wonder, at the end of the season here, if we're going to put lipstick on a pig, and we're going to say, when Danny took over, we were in, 8th or 9th position? Somebody will be able to tell me that, I'm sure. And we finished 3rd. So that was a material gain of 6 positions over the course of the season. And we did top the table for almost 24 hours. Big deal. I'm still back to the, is it entitlement? Maybe it is, that positive mindset of, I think we're the best team in the league. Obviously we're not, but I think we are, and I think we deserve better, and I'm going to have that mentality until we actually prove it, for more than one season, and see what happens from there. But yeah, not good at all. So 3 games left, and then we can put this one to bed and see what that looks like. I was going to do a wee bit of a TAV segment today, so Colin Bowman, at the Orlando Rangers Supporters Club, there's a big banner down there. They call it Tav's Tavern, and I kind of love the name. And it's a cool club. I was going to say a cool place and a cool pub, and it became a club. So it's a cool place to be, and Colin had provided me with some details which are actually astonishing in terms of facts and figures. I'm going to do that next week and let the dust settle on today's. So in terms of the shout outs, I did want to provide a pre-shout out, a pre-birthday wish for a good pal of mine, Davey McDonald, who is 40 this Saturday, the 9th of May. And we went from, there's no chance I'm having a party because I don't really like people that much, to you've got 2 weeks to organise a party, we're having a party and it's going to be on Saturday afternoon. My first thought was, Saturday afternoon, I kind of struggle to leave parties. So that's a wee word to the wise. If you ever invite me to a party, give me a decent curfew and then give me a wee bit of respite on that, a wee bit of leeway, I should say, on that. If you say you need to leave by 9, I'll be like, cool. But in your head, you're like, it's 9:30 is really when I need you to go, because I kind of struggle to leave a wee bit. But I'm thinking the Old Firm game's in the morning and I want to be fresh for that and make sure that's okay. As it turns out now, assuming the poll works out the way that I think it's going to work out, I get to roll out of bed at 4:55 a.m. and put the laptop on and just watch it there. So looking forward to celebrating the biggest birthday bash of the year with Davey and Carla and Tavish. That's going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of birthdays, for people that I love, my beautiful baby boy Leo is 17 this Sunday. And Sunday in Canada is Mother's Day. I think it's maybe Mother's Day in North America, actually. It's one of these kind of, is it a full circle moment? I'm not exactly sure what you would call it, but where he was born on Mother's Day. He was born on the Sunday and it was Mother's Day that day, and it was kind of poignant at the time. So it's probably happened before. I can't imagine it would be every 17 years. But yeah, so he's going to be 17. Boy, oh boy. Last night we were sitting down looking at university options for him and where he wants to go. Does he want to stay in Calgary? Does he want to go and travel to another university in another province to give himself a different life experience? I think that's what he's leaning towards. That's not going to break my heart at all. Not at all. Anyway, so 17 this coming Sunday. Looking forward to spending a wee bit of time with him. And maybe it's on the back of an Old Firm victory. You never know. The big Scott Robertson down in Chicago today had said that today was the 8th anniversary, 8 years of Stevie G being our manager. 8 years. It seems absolutely incredible. I know that we had 3 years to build up to and into 55, and he's left his mark on the club. I mean, it felt like he was almost coming back, and then the whole Thelwell sort of situation, maybe even Patrick Stuart at the time, it didn't give him the warm and fuzzies, and he decided to go in a different direction. The different direction being, I'd rather not have a job than come and manage with these guys. Something like that. That's what happened. But yeah, I loved it when he was a manager. I loved the press conferences. I loved the passion. I loved that, everyone was committed to the cause, and we haven't had that since through any manager that we've had. So we have to fix that. We have to fix that quick sharp. I can't imagine Danny Rule is going to lose his job on the back of an unsuccessful title campaign after what he inherited, but he's going to be on. He's going to be under the microscope early next season to see how that works out and see where we go from there. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, two great birthdays and one pretty cool anniversary. I watched Stevie G's press conference and in the Blue Room as manager in my pal Ramey's living room in Cathcart in Scotland. I was back home and my love Erin was there and my dad was there, and I was visiting Ramey for the last time. He was in the final stages of his battle against cancer, and it was a very, very poignant day, and I got a chance to say goodbye to him and such, and it just felt a bit uplifting and then obviously devastating at the same time. So, one of those moments where you remember exactly where you were. Anywho, on to the Destination NARSA or the NARSA Convention or Nashville 2026. Again, you can call it whatever you want, but we are now down to the 30s, 37 days and 5 weeks until Nashville 2026. And of course, that's June the 11th, to the 14th. And it's World Cup opening weekend, and we have a lot of stuff planned. And I was actually chatting with Sandra Eyre today, and she said, where's the itinerary? And it made me think that we didn't actually get it out there. So I messaged Colin to say, hey, have you got the itinerary? And he says, no one sent it to me. So Need to send that to him. That's the thing I'm going to do straight after this, to get it out there on our socials, to get it out there on our website, to get it where I can talk and walk through what that looks like. Thursday night is the welcome night, and we're going to have the opening game of the World Cup. Friday, we have David Mason doing his The Story of Rangers part, and Friday night is going to be the Walter Smith Memorial Grand Banquet. It's going to be on the Friday for this year, so that we don't have it interfere with the Saturday, which is going to be the Scotland's World Cup opener against Haiti. So that's what we're going to have, the Tam Plunkett Blue Night on the Saturday night. David Mason's also going to do a Story of Rangers session on Saturday, kind of mid-afternoon, I think it is, roughly something like that. I'll go through it next week with you and see what that looks like. But yeah, we've got Derek Ferguson, we've got Mark Walters, we've got Davey Robertson, we've got Scott Nisbet, and we have entertainment from our MC, David Edgar. We have Stuart Hay from The Journey Back. We have Rebecca Auchterlonie coming along, as well as, of course, our very own DJ Angry Bear, who's going to be entertaining us through the whole event there. And from the club, we have Fraser Thornton, our Executive Director. We have Jim Gillespie, our CEO. And just confirmed last week, we have Fan Liaison Officer. Forgive me if that's not the right title now. I think it's changed once or twice over the years. But we have Greg Marshall joining us. And that's the first time for a wee while Greg has actually been able to come over and join us. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him again and spending a wee bit of time in his company. We also have the Davy Cooper Memorial Top Golf going on right now. There hasn't been any ticket sales between last week and this week. I did say last week I was going to double check with Brian what the actual cut-off time is. I will endeavour to do that for sure between now and next week, and then I'll be able to let you know exactly what that looks like. And just another reminder, it's a Western theme to go with the city that we are in on the Friday night. So if you have ideally blue, maybe red might work as well, but ideally blue Western gear, then wear it. If you have green Western gear, do not wear that. Please, on the Friday, you'll get roasted beyond belief, and you probably don't imagine. So give yourself do future you a bit of a favour and don't do that. But yeah, cowboy hats, any cowboy gear that you've got is more than welcome. It'd be great to see everyone do that. And just another reminder from a NARSA business perspective, we do have the AGM the week before. That's going to be online. And some information will be coming out to all the clubs about that. In terms of communications, I didn't look at the Gers guide again this morning. There wasn't a whole hell of a lot of stuff to be talking about, so my apologies. I can't remember exactly what's going on. I can't remember because I didn't look at it, so it's not that I can't remember. I just don't know what is coming up. I imagine there's going to be some sort of loan review that comes out on a Tuesday. That's the key major thing, and there might be some other things happening this week. There'll be the press conference for the Old Firm game will be on Friday, and we'll see what that looks like. In terms of the women's team, a wee bit of an uptick in form for the women's team. That's the only realistic chance the club has for silverware for this season. We beat Hibs 1-0 last midweek, and then also had a 2-0 win against Montrose in the Scottish Cup semi-final this past weekend. So we now play that mob in the final, because they beat Glasgow City, I think it was 3-2 with an extra time goal. And so they're in the final. So an Old Firm final on the 31st, which would have been my dad's 6th birthday had he... No, is that right? Something like that. No, maybe he's coming up for his 90th. Oh, I don't even know. I'll get the number right next time. The 31st is my dad's birthday. So it's 2017. It would have been his 89th birthday. 86. Where did I get that from? Geez, I think I'm smoking crack here or something like that. But yeah, it's my dad's birthday, and that's when the Scottish Cup final is for the women's team. Back to league action away to Partick Thistle on Sunday with a 2 p.m. kick-off time there. You know, the split is you know, there's a lot of interesting games coming up between now and the end of the season. Still in third, 4 points behind Hearts. I think we're up to second now, but on goal difference. Sorry, over Glasgow City. But I think Glasgow City are playing that mob, or is it Hearts? I don't know. Anyway, interesting games coming on there in terms of the women's team. The last thing I wanted to just finish off with today is, and it's a wee bit less material now, just in terms of the footballing aspect, but in terms of the principle, in terms of the rules, in terms of the audacity and the barefaced cheek of that certain mob from the East End. I said what I said last week. If you haven't listened to what it is last week, when you're dealing with sociopaths or you're dealing with narcissists, then you're going to get what you're going to get in terms of bizarro behaviour, because they don't think like regular normal people and they can't see anything outside of their own little bubble, and that's not a way to live. But they don't seem to give a shit really about anyone else other than themselves, and they're just showing themselves up, and Scottish football has to do something about this, and quick. But in relation to the SPFL's decision, which said a whole bunch of nonsense, instead of coming out and saying this is exactly what's happening, it's a whole bunch of conjecture, a whole bunch of big words and all that sort of thing, referring to the committees and all that sort of thing. And basically they had said, yeah, it's probably not a good idea that you bring the Union Bears, the folks that had defended the club when they had spilled onto the field first at the quarter-final, you might remember. So Rangers came out and said, we're deeply disappointed with the SPFL's decision to accept the ultimatum placed on our ticket allocation for the game on the 10th of May. It sets a concerning precedent with potentially lasting consequences for the league and match-going fans, cutting across the spirit of the competition and disregarding the established agreement on away allocations between clubs. It then goes on to say a wee bit later, this is a defining match at a crucial stage of the season. Kind of what we thought at the time, and it is important that Rangers supporters are present to back their team. We will therefore take up the allocation available to us. I was going to say you couldn't make it up, but of course you could, because that mob is involved and they just can't be trusted, and they can't be given any sort of leeway on anything. The SPFL had a really good opportunity to say absolutely not, that the challenges that all happened at Ibrox, which are still under investigation, by the way, an independent review, were born from your fans, not from our fans and such. But it's just, you just get to change the rules with 3 games to go. That's basically what you get to do. Any other league in the world, as I've said many times with this mob, if this was somewhere in one of the Eastern Bloc countries, you'd be like, corrupt to the core. There's probably some oligarch there that's commanding the whole thing, and this is just a wee play toy thing. It happens to us all the time here, and we don't seem to have that ability to be able to go, wait a minute, this is beyond ridiculous, and actually take some affirmative action to stop this. All we've ever wanted for the entire 4 decades of me watching Rangers is a level playing field. We've never asked for any special advantages or anything like that. And this mob just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because that's what's in their nature. And all it needs is just for us to stand up, us being Scottish football, to stand up a couple of times and for them to go, all right, okay, the line was back there. Okay, the line was back there, but they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. That's just what they do. So, yeah, that's a thing. So they encroach the pitch. They break into the stadium. They absolutely wreck the stadium. Thousands and thousands of pounds worth of damage. They then encroach the pitch, try to incite a riot. We go on, ragdoll them a wee bit, and we're the ones that get punished for that. Figure that one out, folks. Figure that one out. Anyway, please do like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at NARSA Comms, and that would be absolutely fantastic. Thanks very much for listening this week, folks. I'm sorry I couldn't make it any more upbeat. You can blame Danny Rule and his band of merry men. Thanks for tuning in, and please do share it with someone that you think might enjoy it. And that will be that, folks, in terms of season 2025. 2026, and here's hoping for better times in 26-27. We'll see what that looks like. Nothing much more to say other than that. Take care of yourselves and all the very, very best. Okay, we'll chat to you folks next week. Follow.